UFC Fight Night, Lemos versus Jandiroba, full card results, and we're going to be booking every single winner of this entire UFC Fight Night. It was honestly pretty good. There was a few dull moments here and there, a few decisions to start the card, not a few, a lot of decisions to start the card, but once that main card began, oh my gosh, it was exciting fight after exciting fight. Cody Gibson and up, it was amazingness, but we're going to start from the bottom and give you the results, and then we're going to book every single fighter that won with another fight that could be really good. We got a legendary matchup for Do Ho Choi. We got a really good fight for Steve Garcia, a solid fight for Verna Jandiroba. Kurt Holloway, we got a fight of the night contender for him. We have so many great fights to book and be the matchmaker for, but we got to start off with the results. Thomas, very boring fight. I'll just be straight up with you guys. Striking was pretty even, and then he mixed in the takedowns, won the fight. That was literally it. Luana Carolina kind of outstruck Lucy Pudilova for the entire fight. A little bit of grappling mixed in here and there, a few reversals and things like that, but it was a clear win for Luana Carolina. Trey dominated on the ground with takedowns, wrestling, getting that full mount position and ground and pound. Easy win for him. Miranda, a little bit of the same, outstriking Dione a little bit with pressure, mixing in those takedowns and looking really good on top. Cody Gibson outstriking Bryan, hurting him a little bit, and then submitting him after Bryan went for the submission. Hyder, this is where we started to get really fun. Like I said, Hyder just going forward and throwing 38 punches in a single combination. I've never seen it before. That was insane from Hyder Amil, but he gets the knockout win. Jung Young Lee's back was to the cage. He didn't even get knocked down, but he was literally hit so many times and rocked and wobbled so much, the ref had to stop in that fight. Do Ho Choi caught Bill Algeo. A lot of people are speculating that maybe Do Ho Choi broke Bill Algeo's orbital because he got hit and there was a little bit of a delay, and then he went and kind of went down like that. So again, not confirmed there, but it was a little bit weird seeing Bill Algeo go down like that. We had Bruno Silva come back from the depths of blank to come back and get the victory on Cody Durden. He was getting destroyed in round number 1, getting destroyed a little bit in round number 2, and then boom, Cody goes for a takedown, gets caught with an uppercut. Go watch the Curtis Blades Derek Lewis fight. That's pretty much what happened there. Amazing knockout, crazy ground and pound after that as well with the elbows and just really putting the lights out of Cody Durden. And yeah, Bruno is in the top 15 and he has the most finishes in a row in the flyweight division with 4. It's flyweight. You're not supposed to finish that much. This man has, and has looked very impressive doing so. Kurt Holloway, really close fight, back and forth, but probably if there was a fight of the night, this probably would be. There was only the performances of the night that went to Bruno Silva, Hyder Amil, Steve Garcia, and Verna Jandiroba. But if there was a fight of the night, it would be Holloway and Kanan. Great strike in there. They both hurt each other on the feet a few times, and good grappling sequences as well in that fight. Steve Garcia with 4 knockouts in a row, getting that 50K bonus as well. Catching Sung Woo Choi with a great shot and putting him down, ground and pounding him. That's 4 knockouts in a row. This man has not been to a round 3 in, let's see, 4.5 years. Man finishes every single fighter he fights in 2 rounds or less. That's 3 knockouts in a row, and now it's 4 knockouts in a row. And this one was the second fastest of his, no, this is the fastest of his UFC career, I believe. This is the fastest knockout he's had in his UFC career, so he is improving, he is getting better, and unfortunately, Sung Woo Choi, I don't know if he's going to continue to be in the UFC, as he is 1-4 in his last 5, but he's beaten some really good guys like Jarno Aarons, Youssef Zalal, and Julian Erosa, so we'll see what the future does have in store for him. And then Verna Jandiroba just taking down Lemos kind of over and over again, getting that top position, getting to the back of Amanda Lemos, getting in with the rear naked, almost there, trying to get the head behind, or the hand behind the head. It's not there, so boom, on the fly, short time left in the round, maybe 10-15 seconds, transitions to an armbar and tries to dislocate it, and Amanda's forced to tap. I mean, it was a fun card, like I said, from Cody Gibson, Hyder Amil on. Before that, you know, little lackluster, but it got fun. It did get fun. So we're going to be booking all the winners, and the first one was Thomas Peterson. Like I said, not the most exciting fight, but he was able to get the job done against the former champion's brother in Muhammad Usman by a unanimous decision. And I think Hamdi Abdel Wahab would make sense. Hamdi is, he hasn't fought in a while. He's been on a 2-year break from fighting in the UFC for, contaminated substances. So, he's going to be returning right at the end of July. His suspension does end. And I think Hamdi versus Thomas Peterson at UFC 308, like the second fight of the prelims, would make a lot of sense, in my opinion. And I think Hamdi, it's a good win for him to get back into in the UFC. And Thomas, it's actually a pretty good test for Thomas to defend Hamdi's takedowns, as Hamdi is actually really, really good on the ground. As well, the second fight of the night was Luana Carolina getting her unanimous decision on Lucy Purilova. That is 3 wins in a row, so we're going to give her a step up against the girl. Then on most rankings, she's ranked around 20th in the UFC's flyweight division. So if Luana is able to get the win here, that's 4 in a row, and we get her in the top 15. So Luana Carolina, JJ Aldrich, she wins that. Top 15 has to be next. And Trey Ogden, obviously, he beat Loic Radzhabov pretty dominant until the end. He was calling out Chase Hooper, which I thought was a little bit interesting. He was saying the Chase Hooper fight was just going to be easy money. He had nothing for him, and that was kind of like a free paycheck. Trey Ogden really does want that Chase Hooper fight, but I have to be honest here. I think Chase Hooper is becoming a little bit of a name, and he kind of has a lot more guys than usual calling to fight him, because yes, he has looked really good recently, but there's a lot of hype on Chase Hooper right now when it comes to him being a very young fighter in the lightweight division, finishing a lot of guys in this lightweight division, on a 3-fight win streak in the lightweight division as well. And, he's becoming a big name. So Trey's calling him out. A few other fighters are calling him out. But unfortunately, Chase does already have another fight in the works. The UFC's offered him a few names. We'll see if those fighters accept in the coming days. So that's not an option. I know that's what Trey wanted, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do Joaquim Neto Silva. I believe that's his last name, in the lightweight division. He's coming off, I believe, the loss to Drakkar Klose. That's kind of what I'm remembering here, because on Tapology, Trey Ogden's ranked at 65th. I like to get him in that top 50 range against another grappler type of a guy. Joaquim Neto BJJ Silva, I do believe, another older guy in this lightweight division. Did pretty good, beat Clay Guida, beat Jesse Ronson by finish, and only lost to like top 15 level guys. Nasrat Hakparas, Arman Saryukian, the number 1 contender, took him to round 3, and then Drakkar Klose as well. So I like this matchup for the prelims of literally any UFC fight night. Let's reschedule this one. It just seems obvious at this point. Tracy Cortez right now is ranked, I think she's ranked 12th in the UFC's women's flyweight division, and Miranda unfortunately isn't ranked for whatever reason, but I believe when the ranking update does happen, that Miranda Maverick will be at that number 15 spot inside of the top 15, and I think number 12 versus number 15. Miranda's on, how many wins in a row? I think 3, right? Priscilla Cachoeira by armbar, Andrea Lee then dominated. Dione Barboza has only lost to Macy Barber, Aaron Blanchfield, Jasmine, Jazuda Vizius, and those are like top 5 type girls. I mean, Aaron and Macy are number 3 and number 4, and a lot of people think she beat Macy Barber, and then of course she lost to Jasmine Jazuda Vizius, so I say give her another test, up the rankings. Tracy Cortez makes a lot of sense. They're supposed to fight. Let's rebook them again for the main card of the UFC fight night. If she's able to win that one, we could do like a Caitlin Sermonara matchup or a Jessica Andrade matchup. There's a lot of cool things you could do with Miranda Maverick after that. But it was unfortunate she got her top 10, top 15 opportunity in Tracy Cortez taken away from her, as Tracy's supposed to fight Rose the week prior. Next one we got is Cody Gibson and Christian Quinones. They're both 1 and 2 on this stint in the UFC's bantamweight division. Cody lost 2 in a row to Brad Katona and Miles Johns. He's got 1 fight left on his UFC deal. Was able to finish Brian Kelleher. And Christian Quinones also 1 and 2. Started in the UFC with a bang. Got a finish over Khalid Taha. Then he lost 2 in a row, both by submission. So he's finishing and getting finished by everyone he's fighting in the UFC. Cody's a very, very hard guy to finish, but he has finished fights before and is coming off of a finish. Put this on the prelim of any UFC fight night, and there's a high probability the fight could end inside of the distance, in my opinion. Winner stays in the UFC, loser goes to the regional MMA scene, and that's just all there really is to it. It's really seeing who still deserves to stay in, who should go, and it's a fun matchup as well. High probability there is a finish. Haider Amil and Shailan Nurdanbiek. If you don't know who Shailan Nurdanbiek is, he's always fighting these up-and-comers in the UFC's featherweight division. Haider is currently ranked 68th on Tapology, so right outside of that top 50. Number 43 is Shailan Nurdanbiek, who was on a 3-fight win streak at one point, one of which by TKO. He did lose to Steve Garcia, who should be getting a top 15 fight, and we'll talk about him in a second. And then he lost to Melquizael Costa. But these are all very, very fun fights. I don't think there's been a Shailan Nurdanbiek fight that has not been a lot of fun. And I think Haider Amil versus Shailan in a crowded pay-per-view, UFC 307, could make a lot of sense. You could do it for UFC 309 in MSG, UFC 310, I don't care. Put it on the pay-per-view prelims, on those early prelims, and really light up the crowd early on with a banger at 145 pounds. Good step up for Haider. If he's able to win this one, we could start looking into that top 25-ish range for a guy, maybe like a Billy Quarantillo. So he could be, theoretically, win against Shailan, win against Billy Quarantillo, win against Super Sadiq, someone like that, and get right into that top 15. He could very, very well be 2 fights, maybe 3 fights away. And it's a banger. Come on, guys. It's a banger. Next one, like I said, legendary fight right here. Alex Caceres has so many records in the top 5 of featherweight history. He's fought, I think, the 5th most in UFC featherweight history, is the 5th most wins in UFC featherweight history. He's at that number 5 spot on a lot of the record books for some reason, but he's such a legend of the game. Has been fighting in the UFC. He was in the Ultimate Fighter like 15 years ago. It's been insane. Doo Ho Choi is in the Hall of Fame for his fight with Cub Swanson. And let's be honest here, Doo Ho Choi kind of deserves it even after that last performance, knocking out Bill Algeo, who's ranked 34th in the UFC featherweight division. He knocked him out, and he had a draw before that to Kyle Nelson, who's about to fight in the top 15. So he's getting a draw against a guy that's supposed to fight in the top 15, beating number 34. That would place him right around that number 30 range, and I think it would make sense to fight a guy right outside of that top 15. And Alex Caceres, well, that's exactly what he is. He's at number 19 on the rankings, beat Daniel Pineda, Julian Erosa, lost to Giga and Sean Woodson, but all of these are very, very exciting fights, and I think this would be a very exciting fight. Put it on the main card of a UFC fight night. Put it on the prelims of a UFC pay-per-view. It doesn't matter. This is a legend versus legend matchup that I really, really do like. Next one, we do have Bruno Bulldog Silva. Let's get him in that top 15. If we're looking at those flyweight rankings, Mateusz Nicolau is at number 10. Cody Durden's at 14. Bruno is going to come right in there and take that spot at number 14 behind Tagir Lembekov, who he's already fought. Matt Schnell already has a fight. Tim Elliott's very, very injured. He can't fight in a long, long time. And if you're going to say, oh, Asu should get the shot against Nicolau, Asu's coming off decision wins. Bruno Silva's coming off knockout wins against better opponents. So I would say Bruno Silva would deserve it more than Asu Almabayev. Nicolau needs to fight soon. He's coming off some losses, needs to get back in the win column, and this is a good fight to make because Nicolau gets knocked out a lot. Bruno knocks people out a lot. I like this fight a lot for the UFC flyweight division. Put it on the main card of any UFC fight night, and I do expect a finish and a very fun fight. And we got Kurt Holobaugh, like I said, very, very fun fight. For the fight night main card of any one that you're choosing, in October maybe you could put it on the October 5th fight card, I believe needs a few fights on that, prelims, but I think it's a main card level type of fight that's really just going to bring excitement to the main card. And Kurt Holobaugh was in the main card for this time around. Chris Duncan, I believe, is nearing that main card level opportunity, and they're both 2-1 in their current stints in the UFC, so it makes sense like ranking wise because they're both 2-1. They both put on exciting performances. They're both looking to go out there and get the finish. And it's a very fun fight. Chris Duncan versus Kurt Holobaugh. Both of them are 2-1. I like the fight a lot, in my opinion. Next one, co-main events. Steve Garcia was out there. I told you, got the 4th knockout win in a row, and I'm going to change my mind here. I rarely do this when I'm looking on these posts that I make, but I said Steve Garcia for UFC 307. I changed my mind. Let's do Steve Garcia, Dan Ige main events. Main events. And I know what you're going to say. Well, Dan Ige is barely ranked inside of that top 15. He's at number 14. And Steve Garcia is not even ranked in the UFC featherweight division. Does it look like I care? I don't give a blank. Let's do this. If it's not going to be a main event of a UFC fight night because they're trying to put freaking Tybura versus Spivak on it, might as well just do this. Do a double poster like they do for a lot of the UFC pay-per-views. They need fights for this August 10th fight card right here. There's only 11 fights on it. I believe they add Danny Barlow and whoever his replacement is. You can put that on the main card. And then if you're able to add an amazing co-main event of Dan Ige versus Steve Garcia and make it 5 rounds, put Tybura Spivak on the poster, put Steve Garcia and Dan Ige also on the poster. I think that is a really, really good UFC fight night because a lot of people are clowning this UFC fight night right here, but I think we can make it a lot better. I know what you're going to say. There's not a lot of time. I know. There is only like 3 weeks until this UFC fight night does come to fruition. So if it is not this August 10th UFC fight night, well, look no further. Well, look a little bit further, I guess, to the UFC Apex card. I know you don't want Dan Ige to be in the Apex because he is such an exciting guy. There is no main event here. It's August 24th when this fight night is going to be happening. There's only 9 fights there and only these 4 fights on the main card, but none of them are really main event type of level, but they're all really, really good. Roman versus Bruno is an amazing fight. Edmund versus Gerald, amazing. Neil Magny and Michael Morales is kind of a similar fight to Steve Garcia and Dan Ige with the veteran guy and that up-and-comer, Angela Hill, Tabitha Reed. She's very, very fun. So this is a very, very good card. It's just they don't really have that main event with a lot of name power. And I do believe Dan Ige is a guy with a lot of name power now that he did what he did. And I believe Steve Garcia is also a guy that's name is growing and getting better and getting bigger because of the knockouts he's able to put out over and over and over, time and time again. So I changed my mind. Let's not do August 10th. Let's do August 24th. UFC Apex, and that really sets up the main card. All these 4 fights right here: Coppola Ferreira, Mershart Shabazia, Morales Magny, Richie Hill, with a 5-round main event war. Amazing battle between Steve Garcia and Dan Ige. I like it. I like it a lot. Main event for this fight night. I like it. And yeah, it's changed my mind. Not UFC 307. Let's not do that. Let's do main event for August 24th. Next fight, the last one, Virna Jandiroba. Let's check the rankings really quick. If you're wondering why, I know she's coming off a third win in a row, getting a submission win over number 3 in the women's strawweight division. She's beaten number 6 right there in the strawweight division as well. She's beaten a lot of other great fighters like Lupi Codines as well. But you know, there is Tatiana Suarez. Tatiana deserves the shot against Zhang Weili, and that literally only leaves Yan Xiaonan there. Yan's coming off a loss against the belt, the title fight against Zhang Weili, so you could put Yan Xiaonan versus Virna Jandiroba, an exciting fight because they are both so good in where they specialize. Yan is such an amazing striker. Virna is such an amazing grappler. I expect a knockout from Yan Xiaonan, or I expect a submission from Virna Jandiroba. Really prove, does Virna deserve that next shot? If Tatiana and Weili fight, I think if Virna wins this one, we're looking at a new title contender here because she looked absolutely amazing. And those are all of the fights I got. Virna versus Yan Xiaonan, Steve Garcia versus Dan Ige, Kurt Hollabaugh and Chris Duncan right there. I was about to say Christian Leroy Duncan because he's fighting at 304. Mateusz Nicolau taking on Bruno Silva, Alex Caceres and Duho Choi, Haider Emil, Shia Danbia, Christian Quinones and Cody Gibson, banger. Tracy Cortez, Miranda Maverick. Miranda 100% deserves that. Joaquim Silva and Trey Ogden. Then we do have the last two, Luana Carolina, JJ Aldrich, Thomas Peterson, Hamdi Abdel Wahab. It was a fun fight card, like I said, from Hyder Emil on, or Cody Gibson on. But yeah, the first few fights were a little bit bad. But yeah, those are the fights to make next. That's the recap. Thanks for watching. Follow the Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube, and check that pinned comment down below. We'll see you in the next one, if there is a next one.